The Spaniard young gun Carlos Alcaraz has stunned seven-time champion Novak Djokovic to pocket his maiden Wimbledon crown and second Grand Slam title. The emerging of a new champion could well herald the beginning of a new tennis era, a transitional shift from the aging Big Three, Federer, who is already retired, alongside Djokovic and Nadal, to the young brigade of tennis stars led by Alcaraz. In other sporting news, Team Nepal are testing the might of India A at the ACC Emerging Nations Cup today. Good morning, I'm Chitrakar, and these are the headlines of the hour. The bill on loan shark endorsed from the Parliament. Defaulters to face sentencing up to 7 years and a fine of 70,000. Local residents in Banjare Dara obstruct the disposal of Kathmandu waste, demand implementation of the earlier agreements reached with them. The Russian president warns of sufficient stockpile of cluster bombs to retaliate if Ukraine uses such bombs. Warning comes just days after first installment of US-funded bombs arrives in Ukraine. And Team Nepal testing the might of India A at the ACC Emerging Nations Cup. Pressure on Nepal following their loss against Pakistan A. The replacement bill tabled by the government in a bid to provide justice and relief to loan shark victims has been endorsed by the lower house by majority. Apart from Nepal Mazdoor Kisan Party lawmaker Prem Suwal, all the 13 lawmakers had withdrawn their amendment proposals. A meeting of the Parliament's Work Execution Committee had agreed to endorse the bill related to loan shark from the House session yesterday. The replacement bill was prepared after both the houses approved the ordinance introduced by the government regarding loan sharking. The ordinance has been introduced to amend some laws related to the Civil Code aimed at rooting out the social ill called loan sharking. The ordinance was tabled at the Parliament on 7th of May, just over 2 months ago. Since the ordinance became effective after 60 days of submission, the replacement bill was tabled to avoid the situation where the bill could have become null or void. Nepal Oil Corporation has once again decided to opt for automated price system in the prices of petroleum products. After paying back all the due amount to the Indian Oil Corporation, the state oil monopoly has decided to introduce automated price system again. Nepal Oil Corporation has slashed the prices of petroleum products effective from midnight yesterday. The state oil monopoly has reduced the price of petrol by 6 rupees, while that of diesel and kerosene by 4 rupees. Likewise, the price of cooking gas LPG has been slashed by 10 rupees. As per the new price listings, petrol will now cost 164 rupees per litre, while diesel will sell at 146 rupees a litre. Likewise, in Tarai region, petrol is priced at 161.5 rupees a litre. Meanwhile, the 7 different types of taxes remain intact. After buying petrol at rupees 85, the government imposes 7 types of taxes to sell a litre of petrol at 164 rupees. Likewise, the oil corporations buys diesel at 90 rupees and sells it for 146 rupees per litre. With the introduction of automated price system, the oil prices will either increase or go down as per the listings sent by the Indian Oil Corporations from now onwards. One more individual has been arrested by the police in the infamous Lalita Niwas land scam. The Central Investigating Bureau CIB of Nepal Police arrested Keshav Bahadur Tuladhar for acquiring land from Bhatpatini supermarket chain operator Min Bahadur Gurung. Tuladhar had acquired 2 ropanis of land from Gurung some 19 years ago. Prior to this, Tuladhar had been arrested in the fake Bhutanese refugee scam as well. Right after Tuladhar was released on bail of 1.5 million rupees yesterday, he was captured by the CIB for his alleged involvement in the Lalita Niwas land scam. Along with the capture of Tuladhar, the total number of people arrested in the land scam has reached 18. The district court Kathmandu yesterday gave permission to keep those who were arrested earlier in the case in custody for 5 days. Meanwhile, responding to the habeas corpus writ filed by businessperson Min Bahadur Gurung and Secretary Krishna Bahadur Raut, the Supreme Court has directed to produce all the defendants in the case. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked people in several provinces what they say about the trend of lawmakers setting aside the budget for themselves. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
कानुन बनाउने सांसदले कानुन पो बनाउनु पर्छ त बजेट बोकेर हिँडेर कानुन बन्छ त
सांसदहरुको पैसा प्रतिको चाहिँ अथाह मोह र उहाँहरुको चाहिँ आफ्नो जिम्मेवारी प्रति चाहिँ जिम्मेवारी बोध नहुनु नै यसको मुख्य कारण हो
विकास भन्दा पनि मतदाता रिजाउनलाई यसले महत्त्व दिन्छ
कसैले बजेट दुरुपयोग गर्न नपाउन् त्यो ढंगको षड्यन्त्र बनाउनु पर्छ
सांसदहरु आफूले पनि आफ्नो जिम्मेवारी पद मेरो भूमिका के हो भन्ने यो नछुट्याउँदाखेरिको नबुझ्दाखेरिको परिणाम हो
सांसदहरुले नीति निर्माण गर्ने हो कानुन बनाउने हो विकास र निर्माण स्थानीय निकायले गर्ने
यो चाहिँ नीतिगत भ्रष्टाचार हो
संसद विकास कोषको लागि बजेट विनियोजन हुनु खासै गलत कुरा त हैन तर यसको सदुपयोग भएको खासै पाइदैन
राज्यको सम्पत्ति दुरुपयोग हुनु हो
बजेट परिचालन गर्ने सरकारका आफ्नै संयन्त्रहरु छन् नि बजेट परिचालन गर्न संसदले नै पैसा बोकेर किन आउनु पर्यो
कार्यकर्ता पाल्ने किसिमले चाहिँ यो बजेट विनियोजन गरेको हुन्छ
स्थानीय जनप्रतिनिधिहरूले जस्तै भने बजेट विनियोजन गरेर आफ्नै लागि बजेट छुट्याउनु चाहिँ मेरो लागि चाहिँ अलिकति गलत जस्तो लाग्छ
सारै ठुलो गलत हो जनता कसरी बाँचेका छन् भन्ने कुरो विवेक नभएको कुरोले त्यस्तो भएको
Local residents in Banchare Dada have caused obstruction in dumping the garbage of Kathmandu in Banchare landfill site. The locals have stopped garbage trucks that were headed to the landfill site from Kathmandu near Sistol, citing the authorities' failure to implement previously made agreements. The locals have demanded to implement the agreement by stopping the garbage trucks at Aletar, which joins Thading and Nuakot. They have complained of problems in the surrounding areas due to unattended garbage and the authorities' indifference towards constructing road. Former Minister for Agriculture of Lumbini Province, Bijay Bahadur Yadav, has been arrested for his alleged involvement in banking fraud. Police yesterday arrested Yadav, who is a resident of Holia of Dudua Rural Municipality in Bake. Yadav is being taken to Rupandehi today itself. A case was filed against Yadav and an arrest warrant was issued after a cheque of 1,228,000 rupees that was issued in the name of Uma Kangshakar Yadav of Rupandehi on 24th of January had bounced. Yadav had become the Minister for Land Management, Agriculture and Cooperatives of Lumbini Province from Janata Samajwadi Party. With the beginning of new fiscal year beginning today, the government is introducing new income tax and tax systems. When the budget was announced last month, new provisions in customs, internal revenue and value-added tax have already been implemented. The amendment made to the Income Tax Act 2058 comes into operation from today, the first day of the new fiscal year. Prior to this, individuals with an annual income of 2 million rupees and above were required to cough up 36% annual tax. Changes have been made to the provision as 36% tax is applicable for income slab between 2 to 5 million from now onwards. Any individual with higher than 5 million income from now onwards will have to pay 39% annual income tax. For the first time, luxury tax has been imposed in hotel businesses. 2 narrow-body aircrafts of Nepal Airlines Corporation (NAC) have been grounded. Both the aircrafts have been grounded amid delay in repairing them by the NAC. This has affected flights to Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, Doha, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Bangkok, Hong Kong and Malaysia. The NAC currently operates 1 to 7 flights in a week from Kathmandu to 10 different international destinations. The national flag carrier has 2 narrow-body and wide-body aircrafts at present. Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question: why have some local levels not introduced their budget despite the end of the fiscal year? The options are A. Political disputes, B. Incapable leadership, and C. Ignoring laws. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. President Vladimir Putin said Russia had a sufficient stockpile of cluster bombs and reserved the right to use them if such munitions, the use of which he said he regarded as a crime, were deployed against Russian forces in Ukraine. Ukraine said on Thursday it had received cluster bombs from the United States, its biggest military backer, which says the munitions are needed to compensate for shell shortages faced by Kyiv's forces at a time when they are mounting a counteroffensive. Cluster munitions are banned in more than 100 countries because they typically release large numbers of smaller bomblets that can kill indiscriminately over a wide area. Some of them inevitably fail to explode and can pose a danger for decades, particularly to children. Kyiv has said it will use cluster bombs to dislodge concentrations of enemy soldiers when trying to take back its own territory, but will not use them on Russian territory. Putin said he regarded the use of cluster bombs as a crime and that Russia had so far not needed to use them itself, despite having suffered its own ammunition issues in the past. Human Rights Watch says both Moscow and Kyiv have used cluster munitions. Russia, Ukraine, and the US have not signed up to the Convention on Cluster Munitions, which bans the production, stockpiling, use, and transfer of the weapons. Japan's Prime Minister Fumio Kishida held meetings with Saudi leaders in the Saudi Red Sea city of Jeddah, where he arrived yesterday as part of a Middle East tour. According to Japan's Nikkei, on Saturday, Kishida and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman are set to agree on rare earth sources, cooperation, and to jointly explore development projects in other countries. Saudi Arabia said on Sunday it remains committed to securing oil supplies for Japan and will continue cooperating with Tokyo on clean hydrogen, ammonia, and recycled carbon fuels. The kingdom will keep supplying Saudi crude oil for Okinawa's government oil reserves in southern Japan. A statement posted on the Energy Ministry's website quoted Minister Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman as saying, "Death toll from the torrential rain over the past week in South Korea rose to 40, while 9 others were missing," the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters said this morning. Heavy rain warnings were issued for southeastern North Gyeongsang Province and central Chungcheong Province, some areas of which recorded an accumulated precipitation of more than 900 millimeters for the past week. About 10 bodies have been pulled from vehicles trapped in a flood underground tunnel in the central town of Osong, where about 900 rescuers, including firefighters, police officers, and soldiers, have been involved in the operation. The torrential rain has caused flooding, house collapses, and landslides across the country, with 20,000 hectares of farmland flooded. A total of 280 public facilities were damaged, including roads and dams. Nearly 9,500 people from 14 cities and provinces were evacuated due to the downpour damage. The continuous heavy rain has raised the water level of the Hangang River to about 8 meters. At least 4 people died after a boat carrying 20 people sank in Bangladesh's Buriganga River near the capital Dhaka yesterday, a fire service official said. Most of the passengers were believed to have swum ashore as the water bus sank close to the bank, according to fire service official Anwarul Islam. 4 bodies have been recovered and the rescue operation is ongoing, police official Sahabuddin Kabir said. 7 people have been rescued and sent to hospital. Hundreds of onlookers gathered at the site as rescuers in multiple boats scanned the river with flashlights. At least 4,000 people have been evacuated as a forest fire burned out of control on the Spanish island of La Palma, authorities said yesterday, as Europe struggled to cope with a heat wave. The fire in La Palma started in the early hours of Saturday in El Pinar de Punta Gorda, a wooded area in the north of the island in the Canaries. The blaze forced the evacuation of people from the villages of Punta Gorda and neighboring Tijarafe. 10 aerial units and 300 firefighters on the ground sought to bring the wildfire under control on the island, which forms part of a Spanish archipelago off the coast of Western Africa. At least 13 houses were destroyed as the fire advanced, said Fernando Calvillo, president of the Canary Islands. The head of police in Iran, Saeed Muntazir al-Mahid, said yesterday announced the revival of morality police's hijab patrols. In the past, police units specializing in hijab regulations patrolled streets across the country. However, after the death of Mahsa Amini while in the custody of the morality police in 2022, protests erupted nationwide and many women stopped wearing the headscarf in public places as an act of protest. Official morality police operations ceased for over 9 months before it was reinstated. Time now for sports update.
Sports news.
Carlos Alcaraz heralded the changing of the guard in men's tennis as he ended Novak Djokovic's long reign at Wimbledon with a rip-roaring 1-6, 7-6, 6-1, 3-6, 6-4 victory to win the All England club title for the first time yesterday. The 36-year-old Serbian had been indestructible on Wimbledon's centre court for a decade, but finally met his match as he ran out of ideas to stop young gun Alcaraz from hurtling towards the title in the grass court major. After the 20-year-old had broken for a 2-1 lead in the 5th set with a stupendous passing shot winner, Djokovic's racket felt the full force of his anger as he smashed it again against the wooden net post to leave it in a mangled mess. That earned the Serbian a second warning in the match, with Djokovic having also been cautioned earlier for taking too much time to launch into his serves. The distraction failed to throw Alcaraz off course as he became the youngest man since 18-year-old Boris Becker in 1986 to win the Challenge Cup after Djokovic scooped a forehand into the net, leaving the Spaniard to fall on his back in triumph. Team Nepal are playing against India A in their second match under the ACC Emerging Nations Cup. The match at Sri Lanka's Premadasa Stadium is scheduled for 2:15 p.m. kickoff Nepal time. Following their 4-wicket loss against Pakistan A in the first match, Nepal will be looking for much improved performance against their fancied rivals. In the match against Pakistan, it was only Sompal Kami who had made some impression with the bat with 75 runs. Nepali batters' inability to play the short ball has been the biggest weakness, which has been exploited by the opponent players. Coach Monty Desai said that the batters will be tested one more time with the short-pitched deliveries in the match today. India, on the other hand, will be looking for their second win of the tournament, having won the first match against UAE by 8 wickets. In another match of the tournament, Pakistan A are currently taking on the UAE. After sent into bat first, Pakistan A have scored 58 runs without loss after 7 overs. Nepal's women national team has won the 2-match friendly international series against Bangladesh. In the second match of the series played yesterday, Nepal won penalties 4-2 to clinch the two-match series. Nepal's substitute custodian Anjana Rana Magar had an outstanding match as her contribution was vital in Nepal's victory. The regulation and added extra time failed to break the deadlock, even as both the sides came close to scoring on a number of occasions. Coach Ananta Raj Thapa introduced Anjana in the 90th minute, replacing skipper Anjila Tumbapo Subba, as the decision proved masterclass in the penalty shootout. In a thrilling shootout, Anjana produced 2 saves to give Nepal the series. The first match of the series had ended in 1-1 draw. Team Nepal are preparing for the Asian Games. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. The bill to root out loan sharking endorsed from the Parliament by majority. 13 amendment proposals withdrawn, barring lawmaker Prem Suwal's proposal. Local residents in Bonchare Dara obstruct the disposal of Kathmandu waste, demand implementation of the earlier agreements reached with them. The Russian president warns of sufficient stockpile of cluster bombs to retaliate if Ukraine uses such bombs. Warning comes just days after first installment of US-funded bombs arrives in Ukraine. And Team Nepal testing the might of India A at the ACC Emerging Nations Cup. Pressure on Nepal following their loss against Pakistan A. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good day.